Networking is definitely part of it. Now we have social media, but you're still hiding behind a screen. I would suggest getting involved with like local arts communities and stuff like that. But you can't rely on that only. You need to put the work in too. With networking, you can learn from other artists as well.
Welcome to the BoldBrush Show, where we believe that fortune favors the bold. Brush. My name is Laura Bayer, and I'm your host. For those of you who are new to the podcast, we are a podcast that covers art marketing techniques and all sorts of business tips, specifically to help artists learn to better sell their work. We interview artists at all stages of their careers, as well as others who are in careers tied to the art world in order to hear their advice and insights. On today's episode, we sat down with Scott W. Pryor, a full-time artist based in Oceanside, California, celebrated for his evocative paintings that capture everyday scenes. Scott discusses his journey as a full-time artist, reflecting on his transition from illustration to fine art and the influences that shaped his work. He emphasizes the importance of capturing everyday moments and the joy he finds in both painting and his new creative pursuit, ceramics. Scott recounts the challenges and perseverance required to build his career, highlighting support from his wife and important moments of validation. He discusses the significance of discipline, networking, and joining artist communities for personal and professional growth. Scott encourages artists to pursue their passion for the love of art rather than for financial gain, warning against chasing commercial trends. Finally, Scott tells us about his upcoming events, including a return to the Paint Maui show in February 2026. Welcome, Scott, to the BoldBrush Show. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you because the moment I saw your work, I was like, I gotta pick this guy's brain because it is the type of work that really arrests your attention. It really pulls you in. And especially, and this is something, of course, I'm going to refer back to when we were talking about your work, but to mention it to our listeners so that they can go check out your work ASAP. I love your use of depth and how you have this gorgeous way of pulling us in, foreground, middle ground, background, and you're really captivated and pulled into the scene. And I really love that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course. You're very welcome. So I'm happy to be able to pick your brain about your experience and your background. So do you mind, actually, for our listeners who don't know who you are, do you mind telling us a bit about who you are and what you do?
I am Scott W. Pryor. I'm a full-time artist and I live in Oceanside, California. And I paint paintings and make stuff.
Painter of stuff, yes.
Painter of stuff. Yeah, that was more of a joke when I started that. And it stuck because there was the Thomas Kincaid thing going on back in the day. And he was the painter of light, as you know. So I'm like, I'm the painter of stuff. You know. And then John Stern compared me to the ash can people, and I was like, okay, I will take that. John Stern, the Irvine Museum director, who I think he's now retired. So
yeah, but I think that's a really great comparison because I mean I know that the ashcan painters were very much dedicated to capturing the everyday and
yeah,
the things, yeah, the things that most people would just take for granted, I guess, you know, like there's something so nice about, you know, being in the middle of New York City and just like stopping at a street corner and just looking up, you know, at the sunlight, which is definitely the feeling that your paintings have, and you really capture that.
Thank you. That's what it's about, you know, capturing everyday stuff, you know, everyday things in life. And it's all about composition and light. So I can, like, I'm wandering around, like, even here, like, oh, that's a nice composition. I'm always looking at stuff. So yeah, just kind of how it worked out with me, you know. Maybe it's the illustration background. I don't know.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to ask you a bit more about that because you had a bit of an interesting start on your artistic path. Do you mind telling us when you began the path of the artist?
Well, I've always drawn and painted, and due to injuries growing up as a kid, my mom would be like, "Oh, you broke your foot playing handball. Here's a sketchbook and you know how to draw characters or whatever it was." So that's when it pretty much started back then, and then 10 years later, 6 majors later, I graduated from art school. No, excuse me. So that's how it, I went to school for illustration basically and at the Academy of Art, and um, became a fine artist by accident, but I wanted to go that route anyway. So that makes sense because illustration wasn't really happening for me. And in the 90s, clip art killed the illustration market for a lot of us, especially if you're starting out.
Right. Yeah, it was a huge shift.
So I went left and I went into art. I went into fine art. So, and I haven't looked back, like, yeah. I mean, one of the questions you had was like, wow, I got started. That we're still on that, I guess. Anyways, so I went to school for illustration. There's no real jobs when I got out of school. So I waited tables and worked in coffee shops, hustled. We ended up moving to LA from San Francisco, and I just fell into the California Art Club, and that's kind of how that all started. All because I was teaching pastels at the Palos Verdes Art Center, and one of my students was like, "Have you seen the show at this gallery?" And I'm like, "Nope. I don't know anybody. I really didn't know anybody. I was trying to still get into animation or advertising or whatever. So at the time I was teaching, but I was also out running around LA, showing my book, trying to get into whatever I could. I interviewed with Class D Chupo for Rugrats. I did some production illustration for Sanager ad advertisement in Beverly Hills, and hardly ever got paid for that because it was like an internship. Whenever they used one of my drawings, though, I got paid for the day, which was nice. Only happened twice. And then we had a kid, and I had to stay home for a little bit. Excuse me.
Yeah, that sounds really heavy and hustling. You also mentioned, I think last time that you did, like, you were a bouncer also at some point.
Oh yes, yep. That's so. If we're going to go back to when I was going to San Diego State as a business major for my dad, good times, to be a full-time student, and in order to keep the insurance with my parents, you had to be a full-time student. And I think I mentioned to you when we talked the other day, I tried a Shakespeare class that didn't work for me. I couldn't keep up. So I dropped that and got into a ceramics class, which is where everything switched. And the instructor was a guest instructor from Colorado, and he's like, "Let me see your sketchbook." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, here we go," because we had to draw our ideas out. And he's like, "Wow, you can draw." I'm like, "Well, thanks." He's like, "Why aren't you an art major?" I'm like, "Because I want to get out of college." And then the school let me go because I was having too much fun. My grades sucked, and I could have begged and stayed, but I went home, moved back home to my parents, and took a semester off. And I was working 2 jobs. One was in a deli, and I was a bouncer as well. Saw lots of fun bands. Met my wife there at the club, and we've been together ever since. 32 years now, I think. Yeah, crazy. So then we moved to San Francisco, and I went to art school. So it was like, that's how things worked out for me. And I went to the Academy of Art for as an illustration major. And like we were talking about earlier, the illustration industry had basically flatlined, and I couldn't find work. So I was just waiting tables, doing what I could do, hustling. Met people, started teaching a little bit, and then came into the California Art Club by accident. And then I applied because they suggested I apply to be a member. And I got in on my first try, which pissed people off because I've been trying 5, 6, 10 years, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I can't tell that story. I couldn't tell for a while. Now I do. I don't care anymore. So, excuse me. Sorry. And so now I'm a signature member with the California Art Club, and I show with them regularly in the gold medal show and stuff like that. And that led to doing plein air competitions and shows, because that's just one of the things I like painting outside. It's not all I do, of course, but then yeah, here we are still doing it. And the hustle, I basically, my wife was like, you sell enough paintings now that you don't need to work waiting tables or in the coffee shops anymore, and you're miserable, you hate it. I'm like, yes I do, I'm over it. She's like, keep painting and keep selling paintings and we're good. So that's been, the role is being an artist, Mr. Mom as well. Kids are gone, so now I'm back to, I got the house to myself and I do what I want to do. I don't have to get up at 6 a.m. anymore. It's great. Kids and things like that. So
yeah, it's really cool to to have seen or to hear about your trajectory, going from like hustling and not quite knowing exactly what direction, and then suddenly you get put in this direction, right? Which you had mentioned the ceramics class, which I will touch on again. But I love that you decided like, oh, you know what, this is kind of cool, I like this. And then I heard a quote recently which I really like, which is like, nothing really prepares you for how fast things can move when you make a decision, right? Like once that decision is made. And of course for you it was, okay, I'm going to be an art major and I'm going to study this. And then that really, from the sounds of it, led you down this very specific path, right, into California Art Club and then plein air, and then now here we are on the podcast, which is really cool.
yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
lot. I just went through a door.
Mhm.
The door opened and I went through it, and I just keep, that's the thing, I just keep charging, going forward. One door closes, go to the next door. Just got to get a toe in there. It's a constant grind and hustle. Doing this art stuff it's not for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're just one person. Excuse me, sorry, froggy. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to do all the things as an artist, but I find that the people who stick with it are the people who have the I guess the mindset and the demeanor to continue, even though they know it's like, well, it's not that easy, but hey, I love it and I wouldn't trade it for the world, right? I mean, I'm also the type of person who doesn't have the temperament to go to an office or go to work at a restaurant, right? Which means like, hell no, I'm gonna make this work no matter what, because that other option sounds like hell.
yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you too, because of your illustration background. I find that a lot of the painters that I've interviewed who have, in my opinion, really beautiful compositions are ones who have studied illustration. So I wanted to touch on that with you. Do you find that there's some stuff that you took from illustration, you really pulled it into your fine artwork?
Oh, totally. Yeah. But what they overlap. The illustration, when I was going to Orange Coast College, taking junior college by my mom and dad's house, and I was taking drawing classes and stuff, and I was sat down by one of my favorite instructors there, Dory Dunlap, RIP. She was like, you should study illustration. Gave me the hub of the wheel talk, and how illustration goes into fine art, into graphics, into animation, and all the stuff. And I'm like, okay, that would be smart. So, and I learned there's a lot about telling a story with your images, and a lot about, and that is composition. Part of that is composition, and that just naturally came to me, being able to, I don't know, people are like 1/3, 2/3, or this or that, or, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just drawing it out so that I'm happy with it. And they're like, well, you're doing it automatically. I'm like, oh, well, cool. Whatever you want to, whatever you say, awesome, So illustration has definitely helped given me that part of um, my my painting. It's helped with that. It's just part of it. It's just part of the package, And I learned from a lot of people. I didn't there's a lot of people that are out doing plein air and they just take workshop after workshop with one guy or girl or, whatever. And they study with the same person all the time. I had the opportunity to study with tons of insanely great illustrators, and I dabbled in the fine art department too. So I was going over to the fine art department, painting with these amazing fine art painters. So and then the best thing that I made while I was at school is I got offered a job to do college work study. So I worked for the illustration department, and I had to set up classes, and so then I'd set up a class, and I'd have my stuff outside the classroom or right by the door. So sometimes I would sit in with the instructor if I didn't have anything to do in the office. So I got extra time with all these, and the school doesn't know. This is illegal maneuvers, people. The school doesn't know that I did this. They know now. But I was sitting in on a lot of classes as well. So I had the opportunity to study with tons of people and learn and pick their brains. And then the archive, searching through the stuff. So then I was working for the illustration department. That director left. I went over to the fine art department and worked with Craig Nelson. And so my last year was doing work study with the fine art department, but I was still an illustration major. So I was overlapping, trying to keep it going and learn as much as I could while I was there. And it helped. You gotta put yourself out there. So you have to take those chances. One of the things that helped me out was the director of the illustration department. When I started working there, she started like watching me, and she had a sit down like with me, telling me what I was needing to work on. I'm like, okay, thank you. And she said, also, I need to have a sit down with your wife. I'm all, okay. So we had another meeting, and she basically was like, Scott's screwing around too much. He needs to work his ass off if he wants to be competitive. And my wife's like, yeah, that's what we're here for. She's like, so you're going to hardly see him because he's going to be working his butt off all the time. And I was like, okay, everybody's in on this now. So I just was all in on it, and here we are today. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So
That's wow.
yeah.
I mean that
I didn't tell you that the other day.
No, but I love that because it's cool to bring it up now because of course it's it adds to the really interesting bits of your story. In the I guess in the aspects of like building that discipline as well,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's one thing that illustration really does too. And I've, discussed this with other illustration people who have, gone over into fine art, is that illustration, because of the speed that you have to work at and because of the time constraints and, having to deal with or preparing to deal with clients, if that's what someone ends up doing, it is really awesome to have had someone looking out for you and being like, okay, you need to get it together because this discipline is going to help you, right? Some people think it's torture. But
it is so torture. I mean, it is torture because if you're going to a school like the Academy or you're in New York or like that's
mm-hmm.
you're in it, and don't waste your time. Why? Or don't do it. So many people that I was just talking with my wife about this, where a lot of artists that I went to school with at the academy, a lot of them aren't doing anything with it. They're not artists now. They're, working in whatever management of, I don't know, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
It's just like I was like, I'm all in. And and it's funny because I would still be doing this even if I didn't have the success I've had, because it keeps me sane. It helps me cope with the world we're in, especially right now. For fuck. It's crazy. So, and we're not gonna go there. um, but it definitely helps with keeping me alive, and wanting to do stuff and moving forward, and so I have a blessed life. I can't complain. I get to travel. I get to paint. I live in Oceanside, California. It's pretty awesome. So
yeah, and it's something, like you said, it's something to be grateful for. Not everyone gets to have. It's really interesting because obviously the life of an artist is it can be hard because there's a lot of responsibility attached to it, right? Everything falls on your own shoulders. There's no one that you have to like basically tell like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. It's all you, right?
yeah, we're a one-man
But
band.
exactly, but at the same time, it's what they say, with a lot of freedom comes a lot of responsibility, right? But if you can take care of that responsibility, hey, you have all this freedom, right? You don't have to wake up at 6 in the morning. You can choose whatever you want to paint. Once you get to that level of your career, or like you have a gallery and they're like, okay, we need like 5 paintings or 10 paintings. And then suddenly it's like, great, I can do the thing, and it's what I want to do anyway. Of course, sometimes the time constraints can be really tough on a lot of artists that I've interviewed. They've mentioned that, sometimes they end up stressing out, but then at the end, it's like, wow, I got all these paintings done, right? So it's good to have that freedom if you have the temperament and the mindset to be able to withstand that level of responsibility, right? Which of course you have. And I think that's really admirable, awesome. Which I actually wanted to ask you, now that you have all this freedom, do you have any side hobbies that you've begun to
Side
pursue?
hobbies. Yes, ceramics. So back at San Diego State, I took a hand building class, sculpting and making whatever. I think I made a scully. Yeah. Anyways, so now I am doing ceramics and I'm learning how to throw, which is really fun. I don't know anything about it. It's great. I know nothing. I'm a total beginner at all of it, and it actually helps clear my head out. So I haven't been really painting that much since like I did some plein air shows. Last one I did was like in July back in East End, and I came home just burned out from like I didn't want to do anything, you know. But ceramics was like, okay, but well, I was already starting to learn that, so I'm like, let's go do that. Let's go like learn. And now I'm like, okay, I'm ready to paint now. I've been painting a little bit here and there. And I just finished a commission, which was nice. So yeah, just one foot in front of the other. Now I'm all charged up on ready to paint, but at the same time, I'm like, I need to go to the ceramic studio and just watch a wheel go round and round and round and round. It's like, it's awesome. And I know nothing. It's so great. It's so awesome. So
Yes, it's so important to take that, right, like you said, you were burnt out, and then you try something new that kind of refills that cup again, right?
yep,
Something that feels like low risk. It's like, I'm a total beginner and it's totally fine. This is all just for fun, because then, I feel like that really pulls that fun back into painting again, where like
yeah,
now you're like fresh eyes. Oh, wow, I'm ready, and I think that's so
yeah.
important. Yeah.
Helps break it up, and it definitely gives it new light, like to what I want to do. I have paintings and ideas, which I haven't jumped on those yet, but I'm actually going to. I've just made some canvas panels to get ready and start. So
More
painting coming soon.
And that's very exciting. I'm on a similar boat where like it's so fascinating how you know, you talk to other artists and they're like, you don't really realize it until you ask them, like, yeah, I have, you know, hobbies outside of painting, right? I mean, painting isn't really a hobby. It kind of like, it's like this weird in between thing where it's like a career, but it's fulfilling, right? But
Yep.
then there comes a point, like, you know, how you just said, like, oh no, I definitely need something to, you know, kind of refresh my brain a little bit. And it's, yeah, I find that a lot of the artists that I've talked to, they might say like, yeah, you know, I do breakdancing or I do this other thing because it like helps
That's
me.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that was a guest I had a while back.
Break dancing.
Kaizen. Yeah, it's like a type of like dancing.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I'm
it's
familiar.
important.
When I was a kid, I tried some breakdancing.
Oh, I have not tried it. But yeah, it's important to inject that sort of like childlike wonder and joy back into your work via sometimes other, you know, hobbies.
Yeah,
Um,
whatever it is, like if it's being a mechanic, working on cars, or you know, there's you can find that inspiration everywhere. You know, my daughter is a um, ceramics major at Long Beach State, so she's like, you should try throwing. Go take a class. You know, so I did, and then now I'm a member at the studio and slowly learning stuff and having a good time doing it. You know, it's also that whole third place to go. Like I have another space I can go and hang out. That's not a bar, you know, or not a tattoo shop to get more tattoos. You know, it's something that's constructive and it's cheaper than therapy. Been through plenty of that. This is
mm,
watching the wheel go around and around is that like moment of okay, the world's not that bad. Just have some fun. Let it go.
it for sure, yeah, and you just brought something up that I think about a lot, which is, you know, it pulls back into the moment. Instead of having like, I don't know if this happens to you when you paint, but like you might have like especially if you're stressed, it's like you're painting but then like you're not really there, you're thinking about the 20 other things that are going on and it's like, oh, this is how I know I need to take a break. But
Yeah.
then, you
No,
know,
I
when you,
have that problem all the time.
yep, but then, you know, with throwing or doing a side hobby, it really pulls you back into the present moment of like, wow, I'm making this thing, and I'm learning how to make this thing, and maybe this eventually can become something else, which you were also mentioning last time we spoke about maybe getting into sculpture, which I think is really cool.
That's definitely a yeah. That's kind of the making cups and mugs and things is fun. There's no money in it, especially when you're hand painting stuff like I have been. It
Mm,
takes forever to do the underglazing. So I'm like, I was talking to my daughter about it. I'm like, how do you make money doing this? Like, she's like, you don't. You got to sculpt. You know, she's like, that's why I do sculpture. She's a sculptor. And so I was like, I really, and I have ideas. And so I made a little mock-up of one, like a slab guy. So it was a knee paddler surfer, and he's knee paddling,
mhm.
like Gumby, you know, it's like Gumby and Pokey slab art. And it was super fun. And then someone bought it, you know, I was like, oh, wow, nice, you know, cool. And another artist friend bought it. I was like, oh, really? And so I told one of the guys at the studio, he's like, how about I make those and you paint them? I'm like, no, I want to make them. I like making them. Maybe we can talk about this later. He's all, but you have the outlet already. It's crazy. You're selling stuff. You haven't been doing it that long. I'm like, I've been doing the art thing for a long time though. So it's not like, you know, yeah, I have people out there, but that's not why I'm doing it. But the sculpting aspect of it is super interesting to me because it's another like thing to learn. I thought about sculpting. I thought about learning it many times, but I didn't want to get into bronzing because it's so expensive. I can't afford to do it. It's like crazy. But there's other ways you can do it, and I'm like, oh, well, ceramics. I can work on figurative sculpting. I can paint on it. I can, you know, what? So who knows what's next?
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
sculpting's
I
coming
think,
though.
yes. And I think that also highlights the importance of the, I guess, like the deepest essence of, you know, being an artist, which is you're creating not just like because, oh, I have to make money, right? I feel like that's always like kind of like it's a difficult path when you try to get both of those things, like, oh, I'm making to sell, right? But when you're just making because, man, I love this and this is so fun and this really fills my cup. And then suddenly, you know, you'll have a bunch of people who are like, oh my gosh, that's something that fills my cup too. I would like it, right? So I like to say that like selling something that you authentically, you know, that you made from a very deep authentic place in your heart, it the symptom of that is that it sells. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and when I first joined the studio, so somebody there they're very good at making stuff, and they're like, "Wow, you sell your paintings for a lot of money," and they're like, "Is that your plan to do with ceramics?" I'm like, no, it's just for fun, and if it turns into that, cool, but it's really just for fun. And it's just about getting out of my head, like when I'm in there painting in the studio painting, I'm in it, and there's times I'm like, like you were talking about, like,
Yep.
I'm not into it, but I'm still doing it, I'm really great at the beginning part. That last third, though, I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
so painful.
Yeah,
But then
for
I get
sure.
done and I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Like that one came out all right.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. It's starting a painting is so much fun. And
Yeah.
then once you get to the middle, kind of like I feel like that excitement kind of like levels out a little bit. And then maybe towards the end, it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
I gotta finish this now. And that's
Yeah.
happened to me too in the past. So
That's
it's
why
been
I
it's been
saved
great
the
fun.
fun part for last. I see people that
If you've been enjoying the podcast and also want to be able to ask our guests live questions, then you might want to join our monthly BoldBrush Live webinars, where our guest artists discuss marketing tips, share inspiring stories, and answer your burning questions in real time. Whether you're a seasoned painter or just starting your creative journey, this is your chance to connect, learn, and spark new ideas. And whether you're stuck on a canvas or building your creative business, this is where breakthroughs happen. Don't miss out. Ignite your passion and transform your art practice by joining us. Our next BoldBrush Live webinar is coming up on the 6th of November with our special guest, Steve Atkinson. You can find the sign up link in the show notes. At BoldBrush, we inspire artists to inspire the world because creating art creates magic, and the world is currently in desperate need of magic. BoldBrush provides artists with free art marketing, creativity, and business ideas and information. This show is an example. We also offer written resources, articles, and a free monthly art contest open to all visual artists. We believe that fortune favors the bold brush. And if you believe that too, sign up completely free at boldbrushshow.com. That's BoldBrush show.com. The BoldBrush Show is sponsored by Faso. Now more than ever, it's crucial to have a website when you're an artist, especially if you want to be a professional in your career. Thankfully, with our special link, faso.com/podcast, you can make that come true and also get over 50% off your first year on your artist website. Yes, that's basically the price of 12 lattes in 1 year, which I think is a really great deal, considering that you get sleek and beautiful website templates that are also mobile friendly, e-commerce, print on demand in certain countries, as well as access to our marketing center that has our brand new art marketing calendar. And the art marketing calendar is something that you won't get with our competitor. The art marketing calendar gives you day-by-day, step-by-step guides on what you should be doing today, right now, in order to get your artwork out there and seen by the right eyes so that you can make more sales this year. So if you want to change your life and actually meet your sales goal this year, then start now by going to our special link, faso.com/podcast. That's faso.com/podcast.
are like they go straight to the main part and they paint the figure in the middle and they're like, okay. Then they paint everything else. I'm like, no, I gotta save that part so that I'm excited at the end of the painting. That makes sense.
It
It's
makes
like,
perfect sense. Yeah.
it's like even when the videos I've had out, uh I was like, save the best part to last, guys. Like, don't just jump at painting the trolley car You got to set up the stage around it. Then you're gonna have that. That's the fun part because it could be just like 5 strokes and you're done. You know, and then you're like, oh, it looks great. But I got to do all the rest of the shit around it. So
Oh,
I
I
don't
like
know.
that. I'm gonna have to try that out because I also struggle with that. Like, oh, I do the fun part, and then I'm like, oh no, I gotta do all the stuff I'm less excited about. It doesn't mean that I don't want to do
Yeah,
it. It's more like, it's
I
just
think
stuff
that's
that.
part of the.
Yeah.
That comes from the illustration background. I think
Interesting.
so. You know, like yeah, I got the focal point. I know exactly where I'm going with it. I'm just saving it.
Oh,
You know, so that I will get when I get to that part. I'm excited about it. You know, if you put it, if you do it at the beginning, and then you got to dredge through the rest of the painting, you know, something to think about, guys.
yes. Oh, I love that. I'm literally writing that down because I think, yeah, that's advice I haven't heard before, and I think that's great. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to try that out because again, like I feel like there are some parts of paintings that like I don't know if this happened. Of course, this has happened to you, but like where like you get to it and you're doing it and it just feels disenchanting. So oftentimes those are the parts where I'll put like a podcast or I'll put like something interesting to listen to while I complete that bit because otherwise like it's gonna be so hard to finish it. Um, but yeah, I love that. That's really great advice. And then I wanted to ask you, because you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, when your wife said, "Okay, now you can quit your like boring day jobs." What was it like for you when you made that jump into being a full-time artist?
What was it like?
Yeah,
Hmm.
like what'd you feel? What was it like? Was it like,
I
whoa?
felt I actually felt excited about it because it just like it lifted the burden of having to, you know, like go deal with people. But now I can go deal with the people I want to deal with,
Right.
you know, and so I well, it gave me more freedom. You know, I still had stuff to do at the house with the kids and things like that. So, you know, but like it lifted that. It gave me the freedom to be like, okay, you are an artist, full-time artist, ready to go. You know, so the hustle had to happen. You know, I was doing more plein air shows, doing this, doing that, you know, and because that was an outlet for me. So I was able to get into some of those shows and then start selling, you know. The first one that I ever second one I did, second one I did was the Carmel art one. And I was like, I didn't get in. So I was like, how did I not get in? I know all these people that are in it, you know. And my friend of mine was like, just see if they have a waiting list because people will drop out. So I was like, oh, cool, good idea. Call them up. That's what we did back then. You made phone calls. And I said, hey, do you guys have a, and they called me back and you're number one. So then somebody canceled and then I was asked to come. So I went and did the show last minute and I won an award, sold my painting for triple the asking price in the live auction. It was crazy. My dad was there. He saw all of it and he was like, I guess you can make a living doing this. It's like, yes, yes, dad. And he was crying. I'm like, are you crying? I'm happy for you. I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously?
Oh, that's
Knock it
so
off.
precious. Oh, oh,
The
but
whole
that's so
family was
precious.
there.
Yeah.
The whole family came up for it. It was pretty funny. We couldn't get a hotel because the hotels were all booked. So we camped at Big Sur. And I literally, my mom and dad stayed at a cabin there. So I would get up and drive into Carmel, leaving my wife and daughter at Big Sur. Then my mom and dad would come in and pick them up and they'd go out and have fun. So I was out painting. They were out having fun. It's pretty funny.
Oh, that's
And
awesome. Yeah. Because I mean, you did mention before that it was actually your dad who encouraged you to try all these other majors because he thought that being an artist, there was like no way to make money on it. So, you
Yeah,
know, having that validation from your dad is awesome.
it
I
was
love
pretty
that full
funny.
circle. Yeah.
It was pretty funny. I was laughing. I was like, told you, like this can happen. It works. People do it. It's not what the lifestyle you wanted for me, but I definitely like it. I love it. So leave me alone.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. And I think it also brings something else into mind that is, I think, is really important. And I think I've mentioned it a couple times in very recent past episodes about how, like, yes, being an artist is this kind of like a very solo thing, right? You're in your studio, you paint your work, no one else can paint it for you, obviously. So it's all you. But then, surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, so much of it is actually so reliant on networking and talking
Yeah.
to people. How important would you say that networking has been for your career, and what would you recommend for someone to do today in terms of networking?
Good question. Um, Networking is definitely part of it. Now we have social media, but you're still hiding behind a screen. You need to have FaceTime with people. So like getting involved with the California Art Club and then like Laguna Planar Painters and other groups just to network with and paint with other artists, Uh, so depends on where you live. You gotta get into I would suggest getting involved with like local arts communities and stuff like that. But you can't rely on that only. You need to put the work in too, you know. You gotta constantly I'm always trying to one up myself from the last painting I did. And so I think with networking, you can learn from other artists as well. So by joining if you go to an art center like in your area, say you're in, I don't know, North Carolina or whatever, and you find an art center, and if you don't like the art in that art center, don't join it. Go find another spot. Because, you know, if you're not going to push yourself, you're going to be stagnant. Then you're going to be mad at yourself, or at your work. Well, speaking from experience, getting mad at my work, it's pretty funny.
I think that's a rite of passage for most artists, especially at the beginning when you're figuring stuff out. And I think the hardest part to overcome as well is the I don't know what I don't know stage.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that's like the best stage, to like really go out and like take workshops and stuff. But I agree, taking a look at, like, even if you're going to like an art school, for example, and like you're choosing like an art school, looking at the work of artists that come out of that school is the biggest
Yeah,
indicator of like how your work's going to turn out.
yeah. That's
Which is
that's how I
really
picked
cool.
the academy. I was either going to go to Art Center in Pasadena or the Academy of Art, and I picked the Academy of Art because it was in San Francisco. It got me out of Southern California, away from people that I didn't want to be around anymore. And, San Francisco, LA. It's like, I want to go live where there's culture. I want to live where there's people that are different and help that by moving there, that helped me in more ways than I could. I mean, it still impacts what I do today, how I am, you know, it helped me find my own little niche of people and career and stuff. So the but yeah, you gotta pick places that will challenge you, you know, pick people that will challenge you, artists. Because you need to push. You need to, I mean, what's the point of doing it then? if you're not pushing yourself. If you're just like, I get it, weekend painters and, but I'm trying to, like I said earlier, I'm always trying to one up myself with the next piece. So, and that is a long process to keep striving for. It's just crazy. My brain right now is like going, "Oh, you should be in the studio. You should."
Oh no.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I was like, all of a sudden it switched. Like, you should be working right now in the studio. I'm like, no, shut up. So,
Voices.
sorry, it's okay. Voices in my head.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I totally get that. I also get the same urge, talking to other artists like you. It's like, man, my hand gets itchy. It's like grab a paintbrush, grab something, like doodle, do something.
Yep.
Because it's so encouraging, right? Like you put the work in, and oftentimes, if you're putting the right work, right? Like, because it's one thing to work unconsciously on your paintings, and it's another one to really consciously put in that effort and striving, like you're saying, because it pays off. Like every time, even if you don't show the painting to someone, but just working on something, it makes those connections in your brain do the things they got to do to grow and to
Yeah.
push you and push you and push you. Yeah.
Constantly. Yep. So back to I networking, meeting people, going to galleries, gallery walks, like there's so many ways to find people, but rather than just being on the phone, and so I don't know, you gotta get on.
Yes. Or even just like if you see someone in social media and you discover, oh my gosh, this person actually lives kind of close to me and
Yeah.
they're really cool, hit them up, see if they want to go grab a coffee and like just pick each
Yeah.
other's brain. Yeah.
Just go do a little drawing meetup, like, hey, let's meet and sketch if you're up for it. It's like so many ways, we all hide because we go to our studio, we do totally, it's like, no, I'm not, no.
It's like, don't look at me. Do not
Like,
perceive me.
doo just right here, hiding out, and
Mhm.
gotta get out and go see stuff and challenge yourself. So
Yeah.
networking is challenging when we're hiding. It's very comforting to be in my spot, me and my dog painting, he's just laying there, but it's still funny. And it's like, it's a nice place to be. But you gotta get out. You gotta get out there.
Yeah, get out of that comfort zone for sure. And then I have a bit of like a funny question because it's something I've been wanting to ask some of my guests, and I'm really happy that you're the first one I ask because I have a good feeling about your answer. How how do you personally define success?
How do I define success?
Yes.
One painting at a time. I don't, it's funny. I did an interview with the California Art Club a few months ago, and the Chuck asked me, so what's next? Because I've done fairly well, like I have a great career. I have I it's funny, but I'm at the same time I'm like, I don't know what's next. I'm like, I've never been on the cover of a magazine, so maybe that's my goal. I don't know, like that. But yeah, it's the success is something that you make for yourself. I have a blessed life. I live in a nice house, in a nice community. My wife has a great job. We have awesome kids. That's successful, And it's like I was telling you earlier, but I would still be doing this even if I wasn't having the success of being in museum shows and being in galleries and winning awards and doing all that kind of stuff. It's, I would still be doing it. I would still be here with my dog in my studio. So it's, you know, what every, I was complaining once online, don't do that. Um, and David Casson was like, dude, what are you talking about? You know how many people want to be you? I'm like, oh, you know, like I hadn't thought of it like that, you know. It was like, okay, just keep going, you know, like keep going, keep thriving to be better, to learn, to, you know, be inspired. So that, I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Yes, and then some, which I'm so happy that I had that question for you because I think it's one of those things that when, especially, you know, when you're like an early in your career artist,
Hmm.
what success means to you then is so different from what it becomes later on, right? Because
Oh
then you
yeah.
suddenly, you know, you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm so grateful for
I,
all of this stuff, you
I
know?
thought like when I had my first one man show, I was like, yes, I'm done. No, I'm not. So, you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, no, no, you know, like the next day, and the show closed. It's like, okay, now what? Oh, you just get back to work, you know. Just keep going. Like try to outdo yourself again. Just keep on keeping on, you know. Keep on trucking.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, it's yeah. I mean, it's like you said, like, okay, like that show's over or this event is over. Okay. Now it's
Yeah.
just you in your studio again.
Yeah, no, it's exactly like I had an article in the Artist magazine, and I featured, you know, and I was like, that was my first feature article. I was like, wow, all right. And then, you know, the article comes out, yay, Scott. Oh, no, get back to work, you know, get back in the studio or go out and paint or whatever. Don't let your head get too big because you're gonna be deflated pretty quickly. um,
Yes. Totally, totally. And I think, you know, the other point that I really love from what you just said is, you know, like those things are symptoms. Kind of like, you know, selling, right? Like, oh, you get on an article, or oh, you're the, you know, you get into a show or you get a solo show. Those are all like symptoms of that work that is happening in the studio and of course on the networking side as well. But if there's nothing going on in the studio, those things don't really emerge, those don't happen, and that's what, you know, we would call like
yeah,
the starving artist mentality, right? Where it's like, oh
yeah,
well, I'm an artist and that's it. It's like, no, you do this because you love it, you have these personal goals attached to this creative work, and those personal goals oftentimes will align with these amazing opportunities that emerge, like you know, it's like the idea of serendipity is, you know, right place, right time, right preparedness, right? If you're at the right place but you're not prepared, sorry, it's not really going to happen, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And go through that door, you know, like we talked about earlier. It's like you got to keep trying and push, get out there. So, you know, you have to. I know artists that they don't. They're recluses. They don't, and they're fantastic. You know, people I went to school with, they don't do anything. They still draw and paint, and but they stay at their house. They're in their studio all the time, and they're, you know, I've talked with some of them. They're like, "What? How are you getting all this?" I'm like, "Because I'm getting out. I'm going to shows. I'm meeting people. I talk to people. I ask questions. You know, I do follow up. Can I reach out to you later on? You know, there's a lot of, you have to put your whole person out there. It's scary, yeah, but if you want to have that artist success, you have to get out there. You know, social media helps kind of take, but now it's just not the same anymore. You know, like from when it first started, people, you know, liking paintings and, oh, look what I ate last night or whatever. You know, now it's just all politics and crap. Because I mean, I know you can reset your algorithm and stuff, but if you click on one video, it's like I try to reset it with pottery.
Mm.
I go in my search and I just like pottery. I'm like, hey. Then you make the mistake of watching one video that's politics or whatever, and
Mhm.
it's all downhill. So it's not the same anymore. It's like social media is definitely not those. It's not
Yeah.
fun. Yeah. So
No, but that's, I also did the same thing with resetting my algorithm with my page. I only like I have my personal Instagram where that's where I see all the extra weird stuff, like some of my hobby stuff, which is like sewing and knitting. And then in my art page, I just have all art stuff, all art related stuff. So I only interact with other artists. I only interact with paintings. Because you can also go up to like a post and like on the top right, you can select not interested. And then the algorithm won't recommend that to you anymore. And it's
I
pretty
have to
great.
try that. I need
Yeah,
to try.
it's pretty great.
It.
Yeah, it'll
Not
help.
interested, but I
Yeah.
kind of am.
Yeah, that's why I have two Instagram pages. One for business, one for my frolicking through the meadows of the crazy stuff. Um, and memes.
Memes, yes.
Yeah, memes, yeah. But attached to this advice that you just gave us, do you have any final advice for an artist who really wants to make a living from this career?
Don't do it to make a living. You're gonna, I mean, if that's your goal, you're in it for the wrong reason. It's, of course, we have bills, and stuff. But like if you're solely doing it thinking that you're gonna go make money, you're doing it for the wrong reason. It has to be all of you, your whole person, heart, mind, body, all of it. So all of you are in it, or I don't know. That's like I've heard people suggest, like I've talked to with many artists over the years about this thing, and we all have the same thing, like because we're teaching a workshop and we're doing a plein air workshop or whatever, and like, how do you make money? It's like, don't do it for that. Like that'll come if you're, that'll come. But if you're in it to make money, you know, just paint the seashore all the time. I don't know. Like paint, that's what it is. It's crazy. It's all, kitsch comes to mind and
Mm.
it's crazy. But you can't be doing it for money.
Yeah,
Does that even answer your question? Because
it does. Yeah.
it's I you have to do it for the art. That's what it's about. You're in it for the art. And some people are, I don't know, like in the plein air world, there are people that are retired lawyers that are, they went and studied and now they're painting and now they have videos and they do workshops and they do things and they travel and they do all this stuff and they already have money, so they can thrive at painting because they're not worried about money. They're just painting, and yeah, it's funny. They they were kind of smarter about it than I was. But I don't know. I've had people tell me that I'm the artist's artist because I paint what I want to paint. I paint. I'm not out there painting the seashore. Yes, I do go out and paint the ocean because it's fun to do, and but I'm about like other stuff. I want to paint other things. I'm gonna one time, for example, was at Maui. I was in the Maui Plain Air Invitational, and we had the sunset paint out. So everybody's on the beach painting the beach, the islands, the waves, whatever. And I just turned around because I'm like, everybody else is painting the same thing, and I'm like, I turned around and there was Timmy's Surf Shack, where with boards for rent. So I painted Timmy's surf shack instead. And that painting sold so quick. It was hilarious. And then everybody else is out there doing their sunset painting. I'm like, no, turn around, look around, So, and I didn't do it because I thought I was going to sell. I did it because I wanted to paint it, and then it sold. So, and won an award. It was weird. But that's, you just gotta, I don't know, you just gotta look for that other thing. So
Totally. Yeah, it's hard to not follow the current. Even within art, right? Already being an artist is like, okay, I'm going kind of against the current because it's not the typical career and it's kind of hard. But then to top it off, right, even within art, it can be so hard to, especially social media or people who are in a similar sort of niche or interest group. It's so easy to try to join in on, like how you said, like, oh yeah, the seashore paintings because maybe they sell, or if you love them, that's totally fine. But then it's also good to listen to that little tiny voice that's in your in your little heart that says, but what about this other thing, right?
yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, it can be it's just as important because it's that little voice that oftentimes will lead you to the next painting that will inspire you or inspire someone else or lead
Hmm.
to another series of paintings and another trajectory of painting that is unexpected.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just never know. You gotta look around, open your eyes. It's like just look. That's hard because you get all like, I gotta do this. No, you don't. Like, yeah, sure, but no, you don't. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's a lot of and I think I've mentioned this before, but it's a lot of dialogue with the self of like, why do I care about this thing? Is it because someone told me I have to, or is it because I genuinely have to, right? And it's this really continuous dialogue with yourself about, why do I admire this one thing? Is it because I think it's cool? Or is it because I genuinely like it? Or do I feel this strange peer pressure into liking it, right? It's,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, it's like the mosh pit painting that I did, standing room only. That was a challenge for me because I mean it was COVID. I had the panel, I had the paint, brushes. I'd already started drawing from different like shows that I'd been to with my camera because I asked the band, they let me come in, I shoot stuff, and I had all this reference, but I hadn't really done anything with it yet. So I wanted to challenge myself to do a multi-figure piece, and I was like, how, I can do an urban one, crowded street, but let's do a mosh pit. Fuck it, let's do it. And 300 and I think that piece has like 380 hours in it, including all the drawing and all the. So it all started as like a dare because I go to Tuesday art night at Steve Caballero's house. And so I was like, you should just do a painting. And I'm like, yeah, I've been wanting to do like a big one. And then we got locked down. So I was like, okay, time to, challenge myself. Let's see what happens. And then my daughter came walking in the studio and I had finally had all the drawing and all the, underpainting in. And she's like, I feel like I'm in the pit. I'm like, bingo, that's what I want. You know, I want you to feel like you just walked into the scene with me. That's how I try to go about all my paintings. But that was a nice a light bulb moment for me because I'm like, okay, I'm heading in the right direction with this one. So It was very challenging though. It was a nightmare.
Oh,
So many little heads, so many people. Thank
yes. And it's a great painting. I also feel like it
you.
really, yeah, it really puts you in there. And you can almost even feel the music and smell the smells.
Oh,
It's very
geez,
real.
yeah, it's very real. I
Yeah.
and like it's a kind of a that piece is a stop action
Hmm.
piece. So it's like there was two guys that were trading off going against the grain, because that's part of it when you go to those kind of shows. There's always people going against the grain, and I caught the whole thing because I stood between two big dudes on the edge
Hmm.
of the pit, and I'm like I'm just shooting, and they know what I'm doing. They know I'm using them to have protection, and
Yes.
they just stood there. They're like, "Come on back anytime, brother." I'm like, "All right." Because then I would move around, and then they were still there, just pushing people into the pit and stuff. It's like I'd come back, and they would let me in between them, shoot more shots. But I caught the whole sequence of these two guys going against the grain, and one guy caught the other guy, and they're laughing about it too. It's hilarious. Like if you look at the photos I took of it, the the laughter and joy that's happening in the pit is hilarious. It's like it's so funny. It's just hilarious. I'm like, I can't even with that one.
Mhm. Oh,
But
but that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I also wanted to ask you, since you a while ago mentioned Maui, do you have any upcoming stuff going on your end that you'd like to promote?
Well, I don't have anything right now, but I do get to go back. I have to go back to Maui
Mhm.
in February for the Paint Maui show. And I'm looking forward to it. It's fun, and I get to stay in a nice house, and I have friends there, and we all hang out. It's that tribe tribe vibe, the plein air fine artist tribe vibe thing. So we have fun. It's a fun time. So that's in February, but I don't really have anything else going on right now. Just challenging myself to get in on the easel and get painting. Um, but yeah, Maui's it, and um, no, nothing else. No travel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time to fill that cup, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need to get out again. So that'll do
Mhm.
it though.
For
You know,
sure.
12 days
Um,
on Maui.
awesome.
Someone's
That's
got
a
to
good
do it.
amount of painting time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then if someone wants to see all of your beautiful paintings, where can they see them?
Well, scottwpryor.com would be my website. That's all. Scott W. Pryor is all my socials. And yeah, that's it really. Galleries. I'm in Helena Fox Gallery in Charleston, and I'm still in one in Santa Barbara, but I'm going to leave there, so I won't mention their name.
No worries, no worries. I can also cut that out, by the way. No worries. Um, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for this very wonderful and inspiring chat. I'm also very ready to just do it. Like I said,
Good.
just keep going.
Yeah, yeah. I found you on Instagram, so I think I found your
Oh,
art.
yay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So yeah, there's others with your same last name.
Oh, shoot.
That's why I have the W in my
Yeah.
I use my middle initial because there's another Scott Pryor who's an artist,
Mhm.
which is really funny because he's from Northampton, Mass, and my dad was from Springfield, Mass, and we're not related.
That's funny.
Yeah, and his middle name is Wilson.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, so he's like, we had lunch. I was back there teaching, and so we met up because I was in Northampton visiting Royal Talons because they've I'm an art ambassador with them. So I
Mhm.
was there meeting them, hanging out, seeing the new headquarters, and had lunch with the other Scott Pryor. He's like, "What do you think my middle initial is?" While we're having lunch, I'm all, "Oh, don't tell me it's a fucking W." He's like, "Yep." Wilson. Middle name's William from after my dad. So, but yeah, it's just funny. So
Yeah. I mean, maybe just
don't
that
go to the
middle
other
name is
guys.
the
Go to
name.
my website.
Yes. Oh man, well, thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone out there for listening to the podcast. Your continued support means a lot to us. If you've enjoyed the episode, please leave a review for the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or leave us a comment on YouTube. This helps us reach others who might also benefit from the excellent advice that our guests provide. Thank you.